Most people study Bernard Arnault's success like it's a story. The wealthy study it like it's a blueprint, a system designed to be invisible, relentless, and permanent. In 1984, Arnault took control of a struggling French holding company. Within months, he sold off nearly every division. Textiles, retail chains, real estate, gone. He kept one asset almost everyone else considered worthless, a fashion house bleeding money for years. Christian Dior. Analysts called it reckless. Board members questioned his judgment. He had just taken control of an empire and was dismantling it piece by piece, keeping the one part that looked the most like a mistake. It was not a mistake. It was the first move of a man who saw something nobody else in that room could see. There are 7 rules inside everything Arnault built. Most people never hear any of them. But Rule 7 is the one that explains why some people break through the ceiling everyone else hits and never go back. We start with Rule 1. Rule 1. Arnault never sold products. He sold the feeling of having arrived. The common mistake successful professionals make is believing that better quality automatically earns a better price. Work harder, deliver more value, and the market rewards you proportionally. That belief works in most industries. It is also the reason most high earners eventually hit an income ceiling they cannot explain. Arnault built his entire fortune on a different premise. He understood that desire has no ceiling. A product tied to status does not compete on price. It cannot be undercut, automated, or commoditized. While most of his competitors were fighting over market share, Arnault was building something that never had to compete at all. A dentist running a private practice charges by the procedure. A consultant charges by the hour. Both are selling time, and time has a hard limit. The professionals who break through that ceiling are the ones who stop selling a service and start selling an outcome people associate with status. A financial advisor who positions themselves as the advisor for founders who just sold their company charges differently than one who advertises general planning. Same skill, different perception, different ceiling. That is Rule 1. Rule 2 is where most high earners make the most expensive mistake of their entire career and never realize it. Rule 2. Scarcity was never a marketing tactic for Arnault. It was the entire business model. The common mistake among growing businesses is believing that more access means more revenue. Open more locations. Take more clients. Say yes more often. That logic builds a bigger business. It rarely builds a more valuable one. Arnault did the opposite at scale. He would rather destroy unsold luxury inventory than discount it. To most executives, that looks like burning money. To Arnault, discounting was the real loss, because it would have destroyed the one thing the inventory was actually worth, the perception that not everyone could have it. A real estate agent who takes every listing in a 50-mile radius is easy to find and easy to replace. The agent who only represents a handful of properties above a certain price point becomes the name people refer to each other in private. Same license, same market, completely different perceived value, because one of them said no more often than they said yes. Rule 2 changes how you see value. Rule 3 changes how you see competition, and it will make you uncomfortable. Rule 3. Arnault never tried to win the competition. He bought it. The common mistake among ambitious professionals is treating every rival as an obstacle to outperform. Work longer hours, undercut their pricing, outspend them on marketing. It is an exhausting strategy, and at a certain income level, it stops scaling entirely. Arnault's approach to LVMH was built on acquisition, not confrontation. Instead of competing against established houses, he acquired them and absorbed their value into a single structure, multiplying his reach without multiplying his personal effort. A solo attorney spends years building a reputation case by case. A managing partner who instead recruits and absorbs smaller specialized practices into one firm inherits years of reputation overnight. The lawyer who tries to outlitigate every competitor stays exhausted. The one who builds a firm by acquiring talent and client relationships builds something that compounds without them personally doing more work. That is Rule 3. Rule 4 is the one financial media never explains. and it is the most counterintuitive decision Arnault ever made. Rule 4. Arnault keeps an extraordinary amount of cash sitting completely idle. To most successful professionals, idle cash looks like a mistake. Inflation erodes it daily. Every financial voice online repeats the same advice. Your money must always be working, always invested, always growing. Arnault thinks differently. He treats cash reserves as a weapon waiting for a moment of fear in the market. A moment when a legendary asset becomes available at a fraction of its real value because everyone else is panicking. He acquired major luxury houses during exactly those windows when the price reflected fear, not value. A software engineer earning a high salary often pours every available dollar into the market immediately, chasing growth. A more disciplined version of that same engineer keeps a separate reserve. Not for emergencies, not for routine investing, but specifically for the moment a rare opportunity appears at a price that fear created. That single habit, applied consistently over a decade, changes what kind of opportunities become available to you. Rule 4 protects wealth. Rule 5 multiplies it, using a method most people would never consider. Rule 5. Arnault stopped renting the ground his empire stood on. The common mistake among growing business owners is focusing entirely on what they sell while ignoring where they sell it. Build the brand, grow the revenue, and let someone else own the real estate underneath it. Arnault became one of the largest property owners on the planet, not as a side investment, but as a calculated move to eliminate the one cost that rises specifically because his own brand succeeds: rent. When a storefront makes a street more desirable, property values increase. Arnault made sure he captured both sides of that equation instead of paying someone else for the privilege. A franchise owner who builds a thriving location for 15 years often does so on land they will never own, and watches the lease renew at a higher rate every time their own success drives up the property's value. The owners who eventually buy the real estate beneath their own business stop funding their landlord's retirement and start funding their own. That is Rule 5. Rule 6 is shorter, but it may be the one that hits hardest. Rule 6. Arnault never tried to be the face of his empire. He built a system that does not need him. Most ambitious professionals build a business around their own personal brand. Their name on the door, their face on the marketing, their presence required for the business to function. It works until it becomes a ceiling. The business can only grow as fast as the person at the center of it. Arnault rarely appears publicly. He is not the face of Louis Vuitton or Dior. His brands have their own identities, their own creative directors, their own cultural weight, completely independent of him personally. If he disappeared tomorrow, LVMH would continue operating at full strength for decades. A consultant who built a firm entirely around their own personal reputation eventually hits a wall. Every dollar of growth requires their personal time. The consultant who instead builds a brand, a process, and a team that can deliver the result without them in every room is building something that can scale beyond their own hours in a day. Rule 6 changes how you see money. Rule 7 changes how you see yourself. And once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. Most people think Arnault's real secret was timing, being in the right place when luxury became a global industry. It was not. The real secret was patience disguised as aggression. And here is why that changes everything. Every move you just heard, the desire over product, the scarcity, the acquisitions, the idle cash, the real estate, the invisible system, they all share one underlying discipline. Arnault was willing to do nothing, visibly, for long periods of time, while everyone around him reacted to short-term pressure. He did not chase quarterly wins. He built decisions meant to still matter 50 years later, and he was willing to look slow, conservative, even wrong while that decision matured. That is the discipline almost no high earner practices because it requires tolerating discomfort with zero immediate reward. The professional who can sit on a reserve while others spend it. The business owner who can say no to expansion while others say yes to everything. The executive who builds a system instead of a personal brand, even though the personal brand pays off faster. You do not need Arnault's billions to apply this. You need Arnault's patience. And patience costs nothing. It just costs your comfort with moving slower than everyone around you. Here is the uncomfortable truth about Bernard Arnault. He built the most powerful luxury empire in history by being willing to look wrong for decades at a time. While people who needed to look successful every single quarter built something that never compounded the same way. So here is what Arnault's entire career forces you to answer. Are you making decisions for how they look this year, or for whether they will still matter at 50? Drop your answer in the comments right now. There is no neutral position on this. Arnault's system is the foundation. But what the next name on this list did to protect wealth across generations, that is what should really change how you see money. I will show you exactly how, right here.